I woke up like any other day, the same aches in my joints, the same sunlight peeking through the blinds. My small apartment felt familiar, a bit too quiet these days. I started my routine, a cup of instant coffee, the morning news I barely paid attention to, and then getting ready for my trip to the hardware store. It's a simple outing, just to pick up a few things for a small repair I'd been putting off. My old truck, faithful despite its age, rumbled to life as I turned the key. It's seen better days like me, but it gets the job done. I remember the younger me, strong and quick, but those days are long past. Now, every movement is deliberate, every step measured. Before I left, I grabbed my old canvas bag. It's not fancy, just practical. Inside, nestled amongst my few tools, was a folded photograph, a picture from a lifetime ago, of young faces full of hope, including mine. It's a comfort, a reminder of who I once was and what I've seen. The bag isn't just a bag, it holds pieces of my history, memories tucked away like treasured secrets. I drove slowly, the morning traffic a blur outside my window. The world moves so fast now, sometimes it feels like I'm moving in slow motion, watching it all pass by. The parking lot at the store was already filling up. I picked a spot in the far corner, away from the hustle and bustle, where my old truck wouldn't be in anyone's way. The sun was getting strong, already promising a hot day. I got out, the familiar weight of the bag in my hand. It was just another day, or so I thought. I took a deep breath, the smell of hot asphalt and car exhaust filling the air. My mind drifted back to other hot days, in places far from here, but I pushed those thoughts down. Today was about getting some nails and a new tape measure. Simple things. I walked towards the store, the bag swinging gently by my side. I noticed some younger folks, employees maybe, leaning against the wall, laughing. Their uniforms were neat, their faces unlined by worry. They seemed so carefree. I wondered what their lives were like. I didn't pay much attention, just kept walking. My focus was on my list, on the task at hand. Just a quick trip, then back home. That's all I wanted. Inside the hardware store, the air was cooler, a welcome relief from the heat. I moved slowly through the aisles, my eyes scanning for the items on my list. Nails, screws, a new tape measure. Small things, but important for keeping my little world in order. My hands, calloused and a bit stiff with age, still knew how to pick out the right tool, the right size. There's a comfort in familiarity, even with something as simple as a box of screws. I remember using similar tools years ago, far from here, for very different purposes. Those memories are sharp, sometimes too sharp. I picked up what I needed, examining each item carefully. The precision I learned long ago, it never really leaves you. At the checkout, the young woman behind the counter didn't even look up. Her fingers tapped impatiently on the register as I placed my items down. "Total's $15.20, she mumbled, her voice flat, devoid of any interest. It's a common experience for me these days. I'm often invisible to people, just another old man, another transaction. I fumbled for my wallet, pulling out the cash. My pension isn't much, but it's enough for my needs. The coins rattled in my palm as I counted them out, each penny earned and valued. She snatched the money without a word, pushed my change towards me, and then turned to the next customer in line before I even had a chance to gather my things. It wasn't rude exactly, just indifferent. Like I wasn't even there. I gathered my small purchases and my change, tucking them into my canvas bag. It's strange how some people treat you. They don't see the years, the experiences, the sacrifices. They just see an old man holding up the line. I zipped up my bag, feeling the familiar weight of it, the items inside shifting slightly. I turned and headed back towards the exit, feeling the midday sun calling me back out. The store was busy, people rushing past, absorbed in their own worlds. I felt a familiar sense of being on the periphery, an observer more than a participant. But that's okay. I'm used to it. My job was done here. I had my supplies. Now, just back to my truck. I thought about the photograph inside my bag, the faces smiling back from a different time, a time when I wasn't invisible, a time when my presence mattered in a way these people would never understand. But those thoughts were fleeting. I just wanted to go home. As I stepped out of the store, the heat hit me again, a physical wall. My old truck was waiting, a familiar silhouette in the bright sun. I started walking towards it, my bag still clutched in my hand. That's when I heard it, a loud, booming voice full of anger. "Whose junk is this?" The words sliced through the general hum of the parking lot. I looked up and saw the store manager striding towards my truck, his chest puffed out, radiating impatience and self-importance. He wasn't looking at anyone in particular, but his gaze swept right over my vehicle. My heart gave a little jolt. I knew he was talking about my truck. He didn't wait for an answer, didn't even slow down. His face was contorted with a harsh expression, his jaw tight. Before I could even react, before I could say a single word, his boot lashed out. Not at the truck, but at my canvas bag, which I must have set down by the back tire when I was getting my keys out. It happened so fast. The impact was sickening, a dull thud followed by a sharp crack. My bag, my old, faithful bag, flew open. Wrenches clattered across the asphalt, their metal ringing out like tiny bells, nails scattered like seeds. My tape measure rolled under a nearby car, and then I saw it, my folded photograph dislodged and fluttering open as it slid across the hot ground. My heart pounded in my chest. For a moment, the world around me faded. I was transported back, hearing other sharp sounds, other impacts. The smell of asphalt was replaced by dust and something else, something metallic and acrid. I froze, my body rigid, my mind racing. Then the laughter started. Young voices, familiar from earlier, erupted in cruel amusement. I saw a phone come out, its lens pointed directly at me. Modern cruelty, indeed. I knelt slowly, my knees protesting, ignoring the pain. My hands, trembling slightly, reached for the scattered pieces of my life. My photograph. The wrenches that had helped me build and fix so many things. A small tarnished bronze star, once gleaming, now dulled by time, spun to a stop near the curb. Sunlight glinted off its surface. It was a lifetime, scattered on the ground like trash. My dignity, my memories, laid bare for everyone to see and ridicule. I focused on gathering the pieces, each one a whisper of the past. The manager watched, his arms crossed, a smirk painted on his face. "Next time, take your garbage elsewhere," he spat, his voice loud, designed to humiliate. I said nothing. I just kept picking up the pieces, one by one. My hands were shaking, but I forced them steady. Each tool, each small item, was a piece of my history, and I would not let them be trampled. Dust clung to the wrenches, so I wiped them clean on my sleeve, carefully, as if polishing precious jewels. The laughter continued, punctuated by the clatter of a screwdriver being kicked into the gutter by one of the clerks. I heard someone snicker, "Oh, guy's going to cry." My ears picked up the click of a phone, the whir of a video recording. They wanted a show. They wanted my tears. But I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. My discipline, honed over decades, held my emotions beneath the surface. I carefully picked up the faded photograph. It was a picture of me and my unit, decades ago, young and full of life, brothers in arms. The creases in the photo were like the lines on my own face, marks of time and experience. I folded it gently, tucking it back into the bag. It was the faces in that photo that mattered, the bonds we shared, the sacrifices we made. They were real, even if these people couldn't see them. The parking lot buzzed with whispers and cruel laughter. I saw a woman pull her young son away, shielding him, not from the cruelty, but from the sight of it, teaching avoidance, not help. It was a sad moment, but a familiar one. I salvaged a crumpled dog tag from the ground. It was cold against my palm, names and numbers, an identity compressed into metal. I pressed it against my chest for a long second, feeling my own heartbeat against the cold, smooth surface. It once lay against another heart, a heart that beat beside mine. Somewhere nearby, a teenager mimicked a limp, making fun of me. Youth mocking the wounds of age. I didn't flinch. I just focused on the next item, the next piece of my life to salvage. I carefully placed the last wrench back into the bag. Each tool had a purpose, had seen honest work, had built and repaired. The sun beat down hotter now, the laughter sharper, the cruelty intensified in the summer heat. A small boy watched from a distance, clutching his mother's hand, his innocent eyes witnessing the harsh lessons of the world. I finished collecting everything. My bag was battered, but its contents were safe, restored with tender care. I sat down beside my bag, resting silently. Exhaustion was etched in the lines around my eyes, but also a quiet defiance. I wouldn't leave my history scattered on the ground. I sat there, my bag beside me, feeling the heat radiate from the asphalt. My breath was steady, but inside, a quiet turmoil churned. I had retrieved my scattered past, but the humiliation still hung in the air, a thick, palpable presence. The laughter had died down some, but the cruel whispers lingered. I was just an old man to them, a target for their amusement. They didn't know. They couldn't know. Then a low rumble started. It wasn't the sound of a passing truck. This was deeper, a vibrating hum that seemed to come from the very ground beneath me. At first, no one else seemed to notice. The everyday sounds of the parking lot, the distant chatter of shoppers, the mundane symphony of commerce, drowned it out. But I heard it. My ears, trained for decades to pick up the faintest sounds of danger, registered the change. It was a familiar sound, one that sent a shiver down my spine, but also a strange sense of anticipation. The rumble grew louder, closer. The concrete beneath my worn boots began to vibrate, a subtle tremor at first, then growing stronger. Heads started to turn, confused. Conversations halted mid-sentence. People looked up, squinting into the bright sky, searching for the source of the growing noise. It was a sound that commanded attention, that demanded focus. And then I saw it. A dark shape in the distance, growing larger with astonishing speed. A black helicopter, my breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a civilian helicopter. The markings were clear, even from a distance. Military. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Why here? Why now? The rotors, like giant blades, sliced through the air, their powerful downwash already reaching us. Papers and hats were ripped from people's hands, sent swirling into the air like autumn leaves. Shopping carts, abandoned in the sudden chaos, rolled away, crashing into cars. What had been an ordinary, busy parking lot was now a scene of utter pandemonium. People stumbled backward, shielding their faces, their bravado replaced by instinctive fear. The manager, who had been smirking just moments before, now looked genuinely terrified. His puffed-out chest seemed to deflate. The helicopter descended fast, a powerful dark shadow falling over us. It touched down hard, kicking up a storm of dust that enveloped everything, momentarily blinding us. The world transformed in seconds. The very air thrummed with power and purpose. The doors of the helicopter flew open, and I saw them. Figures emerging from the dust cloud, their movements synchronized, deliberate. Soldiers, in dress uniforms. My heart beat a steady, the dust slowly began to clear, revealing the scene that had unfolded. The helicopter stood formidable, its rotors slowing with a low whine. Soldiers in crisp dress uniforms stepped out, their boots striking the pavement with precision, each step a testament to training and discipline. Their presence commanded immediate silence. The entire parking lot, which moments before had been a cacophony of fear and confusion, now held its breath. I watched them, my gaze steady. I knew that posture, that bearing. This wasn't just a random military exercise. Then, a figure emerged from the group of soldiers, a colonel. His medals gleamed under the harsh sun, catching the light. He radiated authority, not from arrogance, but from earned respect, from years of service and command. He didn't look at the confused crowd, didn't even acknowledge the still shaking manager. His gaze was fixed on me. My heart gave a powerful thump. He walked straight towards me, his path unwavering. Every step was deliberate, precise. He halted 2 steps away, right in front of where I knelt beside my battered bag. My eyes met his, and I saw understanding, respect, and something else, familiarity. He squared his shoulders, his posture impeccable, and then, with a sharp, swift movement, he snapped a salute. It cracked the air, a sound that cut through the silence like a whip. It was a salute of the highest honor, given without hesitation. "Honor recognizing honor," he said, his voice clear and resonant, carrying across the stunned parking lot. "Sergeant First Class." My rank. He knew my rank. My old rank. "Welcome home." The words, simple yet profound, echoed in the sudden quiet. A ripple went through the crowd. Murmurs started, low and confused at first, then growing as understanding dawned. Phones, which had been recording my humiliation, were slowly lowered. Shame began to replace the amusement on their faces. Smirks vanished. Reality intruded on their cruel little fantasy. I saw a few employees back away, their faces pale, guilt painting each feature. The manager, who had been so arrogant, now looked like a trapped animal, trying to blend into the background, failing miserably. There was no crowd large enough to hide his actions now. The colonel then knelt down, just like I had been doing. He picked up a wrench from the ground, one of the tools that had been scattered, and held it with both hands. With humility and silent respect, he handed it back to me, one warrior to another. Then the other soldiers began to move, quietly, systematically. They picked up every scattered tool, every piece of metal, every photo, with reverence, as if each item was sacred, a brotherhood spanning generations. Dust swirled around them like a shroud, as if the earth itself was acknowledging the moment. No one else dared to move. The world seemed frozen, a silent witness to a truth being revealed. The silence in the parking lot was heavy, broken only by the soft thrum of the helicopter. The wind, which had been so harsh moments ago, now seemed to carry whispers of shame across the lot. I could feel the shift in the air, the palpable regret from those who had laughed. Eyes that had been filled with cruel amusement now looked away, unable to meet mine or the soldiers. Their pride had been replaced by a hollow ache of regret. A child pointed, his innocent voice cutting through the tension, asking questions his mother couldn't answer, innocence demanding explanation from guilt. The soldiers, like silent guardians, formed a circle around me. Protection offered too late for the initial hurt, but meaningful still, a powerful statement. The manager's inflated authority had completely evaporated, like morning dew under the relentless sun. His power was revealed as temporary, shallow, meaningless. My own silence spoke volumes, a dignity that couldn't be taken, only overlooked. The colonel, his gaze steady, turned towards the crowd. His voice was calm, yet each word was measured, weighed before delivery, carrying the force of undeniable truth. "You laughed at a man who gave more to this country than you will ever understand." The words hit like a physical blow, delivered without anger, yet all the more devastating for their calm precision. Heads lowered. Shame found its mark in their downcast eyes. You kicked away memories of blood, sacrifice, and brotherhood. History, made personal and immediate in those 6 simple words. I saw an employee, a young woman, wipe tears from her eyes. Guilt was heavy on her face, remorse etched in her trembling lips. The manager tried to mumble an excuse, but no one listened. His authority was now hollow, meaningless, completely stripped away. The colonel then produced something from his own uniform, a battered black and white photograph. Its edges were yellowed with time, framing faces that were young and determined. It was a picture of me, decades younger, standing proudly among my unit. Ghosts captured in silver nitrate. This man trained heroes, saved lives, built the legacy you stand on. Legacy made visible, connecting the past to the present, bridging the gap between who I was and who they saw. A soldier beside the colonel unfolded a flag, worn but honored, marked with battle honors. Stars and stripes that had seen distant shores. They draped it gently over my battered bag, transforming the ordinary into something sacred, a powerful symbol of what it represented. I stood slowly, my spine straight despite the years weighing upon it, my dignity rising undefeated, unbroken. Just as the flag was draped over my bag, another low rumble filled the air. This time, it wasn't threatening, but purposeful. A second helicopter touched down in the parking lot, its arrival precise and orderly. From its open side, a brass band unit emerged, their instruments gleaming under the sun. They began to play. The opening notes of the national anthem filled the air, soaring above the mundane sounds of commerce, replacing the previous discord with solemn music. Customers and employees, who had been standing frozen in shock, slowly, instinctively, brought their hands to their hearts. It was a ritual, uniting the divided, a moment of shared reverence that transcended the recent ugliness. The parking lot, just minutes ago a scene of petty cruelty, was now a sanctuary of honor. A news van screeched to a halt at the curb, its tires protesting. Media, sensing a story worth telling, scrambled out. Reporters fumbled with microphones, cameras rolling. My private humiliation was becoming public redemption, my quiet life suddenly thrust into the national spotlight. The colonel, his eyes meeting mine, shook my hand firmly. His grip was strong, acknowledging strength, warrior to warrior. "The army never forgets its own," he said, his voice quiet but resolute. It was a promise made and kept, a testament to a bond that ran deeper than words. Later, I learned the hardware store CEO, alerted by the news coverage, had called in and fired the manager immediately. Corporate damage control, yes, but also a rare moment of swift justice. An apology plaque was ordered to be placed in the store, dedicated to those who serve silently. Words attempting to heal what words had wounded. Veterans from nearby towns, hearing the news, began arriving. They formed a silent honor guard around me, a brotherhood answering the call. I saw a teenage boy, the one who had mimicked my limp earlier, approach me hesitantly. His eyes were filled with tears, and he brought his hand to his brow, offering a shaky salute. Youth learning from its mistakes. Forgiveness was offered with a simple nod from me, grace extended without words. There was no more laughter, only reverence. My hand rested on my bag, my calloused fingers tracing the familiar dents and marks that told their own.